Aquamarine, my feels, they keep me on.
Hallelujah is the very first episode of MMAngel. I'm your host and creator, Monica Minx Cruz, alright? So I got into MMA somewhat recently, back in 2017 to be exact, the Brian Ortega and Cub Swanson fight. Coming from Iowa, I grew up around wrestling, but I had never seen anything like the UFC before. And for people who aren't too much into the UFC or MMA, the best way to describe how Ortega put Swanson into this choke was like he was an anaconda. So he ended up putting him into a guillotine choke, tapping him out, and ever since that moment, I have been hooked to UFC. So trying to take 2024 as my year, make my dreams a reality. MMAngel being at the forefront of that. So I'm excited to share my passion ever since I felt in that moment, share it with you guys, get some new audience here. MMAngel is for everybody, okay? We're gonna cater to new, old, male, female. You need advice on betting lines, need a place to get catch up on MMA news. MMAngel is gonna be where it's at, all right? So let's get into it.
Said you don't know me, where is this coming from? Girl with a nose.
As a UFC fan, I gotta say the matchmakers blessed us last year, all right? We had so many amazing fights, which led to so many upsets, so it only makes sense that one of the biggest upsets, Strickland and Adesanya, UFC 293, that Strickland and Plessis are gonna be the first pay-per-view event of 2024. UFC 297 will be taking place in Toronto, Canada at the Scotiabank Arena. The fight starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, and if you're special like me and live in Arizona, it's going to be 8 p.m. Mountain Time. The main card includes featherweight bout number 3 Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evliov, who is ranked number 9. Then we have the middleweight bout, which got moved up from the prelims because of a canceled fight between Dominique Reyes and Carlos Ulberg due to injury. But we got Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault stepping up for that one. We then got the welterweight bout with number 13 Neil Magny versus Mike Mallet. Then to kick off again the first title bout of the night, Raquel Pennington number 2 versus Mayra Bueno Silva, who is currently ranked number 3. Then for the middleweight title bout, main event of the night, Sean Strickland, the current champ, versus Dricus du Plessis, who is currently ranked number 2.
Don't wanna lose my self-control.
It wouldn't be a UFC fight without a little bit of drama. So I'm gonna break down some of the storylines and background of each of these fighters appearing on the main card. I kind of got this idea after working at Hooters. When we would show the fights at Hooters on Saturday nights, I have a little bit of knowledge about MMA UFC, so I liked having those conversations and kind of making that relationship with my customers during those nights. And then I had some of my coworkers reach out, also wanting to be a part of that. So before our shifts, we would sit down, talk a little bit, give them the update on all the drama, who I thought was gonna win. And so I think this is a perfect way to break it down. We're gonna start on the first fight of the main card, which is Allen versus Evloev. Here are some things to know about Arnold Allen. He has a very unique and tricky style. His head positioning allows him to throw his left with no tell or load up, and his response to a takedown attempt is literally putting his opponent in a guillotine choke, which has actually led him to multiple wins. And most importantly, in my opinion, it is his mentality. So he's coming off of a 5-round non-stop fight with Holloway, and even after the fight, lost by decision, he made no excuse for himself and took full accountability, stating it didn't matter the level of notoriety of an opponent. He knew he could have done better and took that loss hard, even though from a viewer perspective, it was one of the best fights of 2023. Allen kind of expected a bigger name for his next fight, but stated that he thinks beating a guy who's undefeated and taking his hype away from him is bigger than beating a number 3 guy that's on a skid or something. So he's here to take that undefeated streak away from Evliov. So the best way to describe Movsar Evliov is immortal. It was hard finding info on him, but rewatching his last fight with Diego Lopez, he escaped 5 different submissions that looked completely locked in, even looking at his corner unfazed. He's currently on a 17-fight win streak, but weighing on his mind is that since his UFC career, he has yet to finish a fight. All of them have gone to decision. He called out Allen after his win in 2022, stating, "I know one name, he's still scared of me, called him a couple times, but he don't answer me. I want to beat this guy." So Movsar has his eye on Allen for a couple years now. I'm interested to see if he will be able to get his first finish in this fight. Next into the octagon, we got Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault. I already know Chris Curtis is excited to run it back in Canada. Last time he fought here, his fight was called to a no contest due to a head collision. His teammate Sean Strickland, also the main fight of the night, so I already know they're geeked to be on the same card. Then we got Mark. He is the fan favorite, fighting on home territory. He is also coming in off of a win against Eric Anders. And in this corner, we got Neil Magny and Mike Mallet. I'm gonna be honest, Magny's last fight was a little rough against Ian Gary. He pretty much made him his bitch low key, so I'm excited for the quick turnaround from that last fight, and I'm excited to see what he can do in this one. Two important things to know about Magny is one, his reach advantage. He has a 7-inch reach advantage against Mallet, as well as his cardio. He trains at high altitudes, so he tends to capitalize in those later rounds. If you're looking for a spot in the welterweight rankings, Neil Magny seems to be the guy, so it seems like a perfect matchup for Mallet to do just that. So Mallet is known for his aggressive offensive strategy, as well as capitalizing on his opponent's mistakes. His ability to see and attack the holes in his opponents is something literally that cannot be taught, but is second nature. And his mindset going into this fight is, he's not so much focused on Magny as he is the position. This is a number he is fighting for. So again, Neil Magny is ranked number 13. Mallet is currently not ranked. So that's what he is set on and to get at the end of this fight. The first title bout of the night is between Raquel Pennington and Mayra Buena Silva. The belt is up for grabs ever since Nunes announced her retirement, which marks UFC 297 as the first women's bantamweight title fight without Amanda Nunes since 2016. Also, in the 11 years of this division, it is only the second time that the fight will not include Ronda Rousey nor Amanda Nunes. Raquel Pennington is definitely a member of the Granite Chin Club. This girl is a dog. Her ability to roll with the punches and the amount of damage she takes is literally mind-boggling, and seeing how much she takes physically only shows that her mental is just as strong. She also has an impressive pedigree and is well seasoned in the UFC. Back in 2018, she went 4 full rounds with Amanda Nunes, which I feel like speaks for itself. Going into that 5th round, she had told her corner that she was done, she couldn't do it no more. Corner pushed her. So I'm gonna say she went the 4 full rounds. The 5th round, it was over for her, and that honestly is her only TKO of her UFC career, coming from Amanda Nunes. Again, that's the champ. Amanda Nunes is a dog. If that's my only TKO, I wouldn't underestimate her. This is Mayra's first pay-per-view event of her UFC career, her other fights only being featured on fight nights, which I feel like says something about her ability as a fighter to move up so quickly, or it just shines a light on how little competition there is within this division. But either way, it is a big step up for her. So, Mayra, she is a dangerous finisher. I already spoke on how Raquel can take the punches, but if anyone's gonna knock Raquel out, it's gonna be Mayra. She also has something to prove. She's coming off of a 4.5-month suspension. She ended up testing positive for an illegal substance, which she states comes from her ADHD medicine. And her win against Holly Holm was then ruled a no contest. So she has some doubters saying that, she shouldn't be fighting for this belt, but in a quote, she says that she believes 100% that Pennington is not even close to her level and promises to give a big show, which I really hope that this fight comes through. It's, a big shoes to fill with Nunes stepping down, and I feel like a lot of the UFC community, MMA community, is already expecting this to be a boring fight. Even Sean Strickland made a little comment about it. Mayra herself even made a comment about it possibly being boring, but, I hope she steps up to the occasion, puts on a big show. She's got to take advantage of this being her big debut on a pay-per-view event and take that title, not with ease, but really taking the title and earning it. And finally, the main event of the night, we got Sean Tarzan Strickland defending his title for the very first time against Strikus Still Knocks du Plessis, who is trying to be the very first South African champion. Strickland has held the middleweight title belt since September of 2023 and is coming off that win over Adesanya. He proved that he is literally a dog. He reminds me of Rocky Balboa, his personality, his mannerisms. He also has that Philly shell stance. And during Adesanya, he controlled the pace of the fight, which I believe is key to beating du Plessis, who is a fighter who just comes out kind of messy, all over the place. So I feel like if Sean can stick and be stubborn to, pacing the fight how he needs it, it'll be key to winning this. Also with that fight against Adesanya, going into it, he knew that he had nothing to lose but everything to gain. And I feel like the overall consensus of the UFC community when he won, like, people were hyped, no doubt, but when he won, it was also kind of the vibe of it was a dude who got a big ass job who was way underqualified for it. But now that he's got that belt, you see a little more of his confidence and personality coming out. And honestly, if someone's gonna try and take it, they're gonna have to take it over his dead body. That is his now. Before, it was just something to prove. He just did it because he could do it, had nothing to lose. Now he realizes that, he is that man, he is that fighter, he is a champ. He's had that mentality now, and I really think it's gonna be hard to take that away from him. So my advice to du Plessis going into this fight is to not be complacent. I already mentioned that if Strickland can control the pace of the fight, ends up going 5 rounds, it's going to be a repeat of the Adesanya fight, and he will keep the belt. He also needs to be aware of his own gas tank. Du Plessis is a guy that you can bet on that will come out with a brawl. He even has expectations of this fight being the fight of the year contender. So he's going to put on a show. But when he steps into the octagon and comes out guns a-blazing, he wears himself out. He also needs to expect the unexpected. In interviews leading up to this fight, he seems to talk down on Strickland's jab and how soft he thinks it is. Let me tell you this, it don't matter how soft that jab is and how much damage you can take, it's gonna affect you. And I feel like he can't expect Sean to come into this fight with the same mentality and training that he did with Adesanya. Sean, I feel like, has something up his sleeve, but also the way that du Plessis has been talking about how, he's waiting for a stand and bang. He's a guy who walks forward. He has good takedown offense and can really do stuff on the ground. So I think he may try and take Strickland down, which we really haven't seen Strickland on the ground too much. So I think he's talking a lot of talk, but I'm excited. The first time I saw du Plessis was when he had knocked down Whitaker and actually knocked him out, which Whitaker doesn't get knocked down, let alone knocked out in the second round. So du Plessis definitely caught my attention. I'm excited for this one. I'm interested to see if it's going to be that slower pace, go the 5 rounds, or if it's going to be a little bit more of a brawl and a show. We'll see.
I lose it all.
What better way to learn about MMA than to actually go and do it? So this segment I am super excited for. It's called the Takedown Breakdown. I met up with Anthony Wright, an instructor over at Soul Fighters HQ in Tempe, Arizona, and he was nice enough to break down a couple moves for me, as well as let me teach him a couple moves.
All right, I am at Soul Fighter with Anthony. Came to my first MMA class on Thursday, second round. He's nice enough to join me for my podcast, so he's gonna break down a little combo move for me, and then I'm gonna give him a little combo dance move to learn himself. So if you wanna introduce yourself, how long you've been in MMA, Soul Fighter?
Okay, my name's Anthony Wright. I'm a black belt under Tanquinho Mendez. I have been training since 2010. I've been with Soul Fighters for about 2 years now. I am 4-1 as a professional, MMA fighter, and again, I've been training since 2010.
Awesome. So I've been training 2 days now?
2 days.
2 days now?
You've been doing awesome, though. You've been doing
Progress.
awesome. Right?
Perfect. So what combo move are you going to teach me today?
Well, first thing I'm going to show you first is getting you in your stance. And then with anything, you got to have a great foundation. And for striking and for MMA, for combat sports or self-defense, foundation, your stance, and a good jab.
Perfect.
So that's the first thing we want to get into. We want to naturally get into our fighting stance. Your right-handed?
Right-handed, yeah.
So that's going to be your power hand. It's going to be in the rear, all right? For our stance, we want to have it kind of at a 45. Rear foot is kind of at an angle. We want to have that kind of up. We want to use that to push off of. What we're going to also do is going to slightly bend of our knees. We're going to bring our hands up, elbows are tucked in, and we're going to kind of roll our shoulders just slightly so it protects our chin. All right?
That's Sean Strickland.
Yep. All right, so we're going to protect our chin. We're going to have it kind of out. You're not gonna be like bouncers having it in because that's inviting someone to get close. But just slightly out, all right? And again, rolling of the shoulder, all right? For a jab, we're gonna extend and I want you to turn your thumb down, all right? Now, we're gonna add in pushing off our foot, boom, and turn the thumb down, all right? And as you notice, I'm protected on both sides, one by my power hand, my rear hand, and two by my shoulder, all right? So we're gonna reset, come back, and we're gonna push off and jab, all right? And again, all right? And again. All right, now we're gonna follow this up, and as we get right here, we're gonna extend our two. We're gonna turn our hip over, bring our front hand out, back, and we're gonna land our two. So we're gonna just do a traditional 1-2, all right? And again, boom, boom, all right? And again.
So for this one, are you bending your thumb down too? Or
We are turning the thumb down. It just helps you make sure that you don't hyperextend the elbows.
Okay.
And helps you, you can throw harder.
Bet. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna get you a little out of your comfort zone. He said he done ballet. He's a street dancer.
When I was young.
He was on the news and everything, okay?
When I was young. I was a kid.
So I'm gonna teach. I haven't even thought of a combo yet, so I'm making it up at the top of
God.
my head. It might be a little sassy, but you know.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna do a little. Okay, so we're gonna kind of get in like a wide stance, like shoulder length apart. Okay. When you were teaching this move, you're popping and locking the lips or the hips. So I'm gonna do a little something like that. All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna turn your hip to the right.
Oh, we getting sassy.
Reach out. You gotta reach out.
Okay.
And pull it back in.
Okay.
So that's 1, 2. This way. 3, 4. Then we're gonna crisscross. 5, 6. And we're gonna 7. 8. There you go.
I can get that.
One more time slow, all right? So we go 1, 2, 3, crisscross, 5, 6. Hey!
Hey.
Awesome. Pretty much a pro.
Hey, there it is. There it is.
Well, thank you, Anthony,
Thank
for
you.
being on this first episode of my podcast.
Awesome. Thank
If you
you for
enjoy
having
it,
me.
I'd like to have you back if you're scared.
Awesome. I would love to do it. Thank you for coming and visiting.
Awesome.
Second
Yeah.
class with us.
Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Plug don't got 'em, but 'em all like pop. Don't tell me where to
This just in on Knockout News. No better way to start this segment. Literally got the announcement as I'm recording right now. But UFC 300, Gaethje versus Holloway for the BMF belt. Super excited for this. They may not be the biggest, but they are definitely the baddest mofo in the game. Literally cannot wait for this fight. Earlier this year, we got the announcement that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will be fighting at 185. This is the first fight back for Conor since his injury and loss to Dustin Poirier back in 2021. They're going to be fighting on June 29th during the International Fight Week. Fun fact for you guys, this is going to be the 4th weight class that Conor has fought in. He's also the very first fighter in the UFC to hold 2 belts simultaneously. And honestly, UFC fans have been waiting for this announcement ever since the end of season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter, where Conor and Chandler were the coaches. And let me tell you, the tensions were high, so I am super excited for this fight. In response to Conor, Chandler took to social media responding to Conor, saying he always wanted him at his biggest, baddest, and best, and that 185 would look good on him. Originally, Chandler was expecting the fight to be at 170, but you know Conor, if someone brings up a fight and what they want to do, he's going to do the complete opposite of it. Chandler wasn't surprised that he wanted to do 185, but it seems like he's up for that, and you know, I'm a little nervous for my boy McGregor, but I'm super excited to see how this goes down. We got a new incoming fighter whose reputation has definitely preceded him, Michael Venom Page, MVP. He's coming off of some brutal knockouts in Bellator, and when I say brutal, he literally fractured dude's skull with a flying knee. Bellator alone, he has 9 first-round finishes, so he doesn't really have to come in proving something for the UFC, which only makes sense to have his first debut fight with the trailblazer himself, Kevin Holland. Lastly, for knockout news, is Tom Aspinall and John Jones Twitter beef, all right? So there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this heavyweight title. Specifically, Tom Aspinall has been calling out for Jones in the title belt. Right now, Aspinall holds the interim champ belt, but he's wanting that title belt. He wants to take it from Jones. And Jones recently got injured. He just had surgery, so he's recovering from it. And he's already mentioned that he has one fight on his mind, someone who will actually add to his legacy, and that is with Stipe Miocic. And not only has Aspinall been on Jones, calling him out on Twitter, trying to start all this beef, but many UFC fans have also been antagonizing him, even saying to the point of, oh, he's scared to take this fight, which is absolutely ridiculous. You're calling out John Jones, who is hands down the best fighter in UFC history, and you're telling him he's scared. Jones honestly worded it perfectly in response to those comments on Twitter, saying, "Despite how good Tom may seem right now, a win over him really does nothing for my legacy. That's just the truth. That's all I'm saying, and I understand a lot of you guys don't fully understand what's happening behind the scenes. You don't make it as far as myself and Stipe, not realizing the business side of this." Honestly, I feel like that is a perfect way to respond to the comments that have been floating around and directly towards him too, to kind of shut down that narrative of that he's scared of Tom. Really, it's just a ridiculous statement. So I give props to John Jones for, calling it as it is and, shutting down the hate. In this segment, Cruisin or Bruisin, I'm going to be rating whether a video I've seen on Instagram, Twitter, throughout the MMA community is cruisin with a cruisy ya, or if it's bruisin with a na, all right? So starting off, we have Patty the Baddie kicking a little person. All right.
Sparta. This is Sparta.
Gonna do a little Spartan kick on a little person. I mean, I love watching, one, British shows because I got a British accent, and two, I like watching little people. So this video is definitely a cruisy, yeah. The little person is probably bruising in his little tummy, but it's definitely a yeah from me. Okay, moving on. We got a mother's milk submission. So when I first saw this video, I was like, what could this possibly be about? And then it happened. And honestly, I feel like that's one of the best submissions I've ever seen. If I was the other dude though, I'd be so embarrassed that I got submitted between some dude's titties, but it is what it is. This is definitely a yeah from me. I want to see more of that in the UFC actually. Alright, so this video my mom sent me, I told her that I had gone to an MMA class, and if you know me, I am not someone to be going to an MMA class. So she sent this video. I think this is how she imagined me at this class. Bro came in with that little kick. He got, hit it, hit another one. Oh, with the pizzazz. Oh, spinning kick. Spinning kick. Oh, with a little flat. Definitely a cruise yeah for me. He mixed a little dance, a little sass with his little spinning kicks, punches. If I look like that at my class, I would be happy with that, honestly. All right, last we got this post from Johnny Walker. It says, "Thanks Henry Cejudo to lend me your belt," and then it has his belt on this tiny little belt on his wrist. Honestly, if you know what Henry Cejudo looks like, you see him in person. Me and Ryan actually saw him out in Scottsdale, and he really is that tiny, where I think that belt would actually fit him. So Johnny Walker's comedy, definitely giving this a cruise yeah. All right, so this segment, all of it got cruise yeahs, it got a yeah, but I can't start out the show with negative energy, all right? If you got a video you want me to react, to rate, send it over to MMAngel. Try and get that on here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, 2024 is my year. I'm making shit happen for myself. No more waiting around, so the time is now. If you're watching this and you believe that your time is now, this message is specifically for you, all right? I'm wanting to highlight local Arizona talent, the MMA community, and feature them on this show. If you believe your time is now, take this as a sign from your guardian angel and apply. You'll be featured on MMAngel, showcasing you, your skills, your story, and journey. One of my favorite things personally is to hype people up, so I'm here to be your hype person. I'm in your corner. Again, I'm trying to make something for myself. Along with that comes community and support. I'm trying to showcase all the talent that Arizona has to offer. So again, if you want to nominate yourself, if you know someone and you want to nominate them, Head to the link. It's in all of the MMAngel social media, or on the link below it's included. You can apply. It has all the qualifications. And yeah, I'm super excited to see and meet the fighters and community and to show y'all off. Thank you for joining the very first episode of MMAngel. Stay up to date, everything UFC MMA news related. I'm also going to be dropping some little segments that aren't included in this video throughout the month leading up to the second episode of MMAngel coming in February for UFC 298. Shout out to the fight gods, Dana, Joe, Bruce, Herb. I'm Monica Minx Cruz, your guardian angel, and it is time for me to spread my wings and mink, mink, mink.
I can't believe it, I really need this.